What's up guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic part 1. Which is what if Naruto and Hinata escaped Konoha and never looked back part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel Anime Hub 1.2 for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. Hey Ruto. A customer called as the inn was filling up. The Inn of Waves was a popular amongst the locals and they spent their evenings by the fire and ate and drank. Hey Kenji. Ruto said from behind the bar. The owner bartender was 6 foot with long blonde hair, blue eyes and tan skin. He was wearing simple clothes. I'll take a bottle of that sake from Iowa you got in last month. The farmer said as he took a seat. You eating? Nada's just made some curry and some rice balls. Ruto asked. Curry sounds great, and some rolls if she's got them. The farmer said. She does. Ruto said with a laugh. Your wife's the best cook man. Another farmer said. Ain't that the truth? Ruto said as he put the bottle and saucer near Kenji. How's the crops looking? He asked. We'll have a good harvest this year. Kenji said sipping his drink. We'll have a good haul to Suna. Ruto nodded. Don't forget to hire some ninja to protect the caravan. He said. Kenji nodded. Young Inari has already sent a request to Suna for guards, and the cage is sending some. Quote. Ruto smiled. Dosa wanted to hire from Konoha. Ruto froze cleaning the bar hearing that. But Inari said no chance. Not after how they treated you and Nada. Ruto looked at him and nodded with a smile. We're grateful for all Wave has done for us. He said looking around the inn. Many of the men there smiled and nodded. You saved us, we're going to do right for you. Besides, Kenji paused and saw that it was just locals and nodded. No one is looking for Ruto and Nada Uzumaki. They're looking for Naruto Uzumaki and Hinata Hyuga Uzumaki. Ruto smiled. The now 25-year-old innkeeper knew they'd made the right decision to come to Wave after the council back in Konoha had tried to kill them. If not for some very dumb luck and help from one of their friends, they'd never have survived. Bah, enough of this. Eat and drink. And you only get one bottle tonight Kenji. Your wife will tell mine and I'll get yelled at if you go home drunk again. Quote. Many of the men laughed and Kenji smiled as Ruto entered the kitchen to get his food. XX. Inari smiled as he watched Ruto the next morning cutting firewood with his bare hands. You know if someone sees you, they'll ask questions bro. Quote. Ruto smiled as he focused his chakra and chopped the log in quarters. True. That's why we're here, and you're holding my axe. Inari and his mom had welcomed Ruto and Nada into their home 9 years ago when they showed up, battered, and bleeding. Flashback. Knock. Knock. Inari. Get the door. Tsunami said from the kitchen as she was preparing dinner. Inari put his books aside and rushed to the door, and opened it. Mom. He screamed as Naruto Uzumaki, bleeding and sporting numerous wounds collapsed, the indigo-haired girl with high struggled under his dead weight. Inari helped her get him up and saw she was sporting numerous wounds as well. Tsunami came to see what the shout was about, and her father followed. Both adults froze seeing the young man who saved their village several years back. Tsunami, get the medical kit. Tazuna ordered and went and helped the 2 ninja into his home and got them to the couch. Sorry for this old man. Naruto wheezed out as he was holding onto consciousness by sheer will. Shut up brat. We'll get you patched up and you can tell us what happened. Hinata. The blonde winced. Here beloved, she said and the old bridge builder saw she was in just as bad shape. Tsunami came out and with Inari's help removed Naruto's shirt and jacket. Daughter, take the girl and help her. No, Hinata said. Staying with my husband. The 3 villagers looked at the young pair in surprise, then Tsunami shoved that aside and got the cleaning kit and helped Hinata. Don't worry, you're safe here, she said. No, Naruto said wincing as the old man cleaned his burns. Hunter Nin are after us. You are safe here, Tazuna said again. Naruto was unconscious, trusting them with his and Hinata's safety. What happened to Naruto? Inari asked. Hinata spoke, her own voice sounding exhausted. Naruto had retrieved the Uchiha on his last mission. He beat him soundly and brought him back from Orochimaru's chess. Members of the council claimed that Naruto attacked a Leaf Nin and sentenced him to death. Uchiha, his teammate, Tazuna asked. Hi. Sasuke abandoned the village 3 years ago to join an S-ranked criminal for the promise of power. Naruto brought him back, but she closed her eyes. Many in our village hate Naruto. Too many in positions of power hate him for no reason. Tsunami wrapped the bandages around Hinata's forearms. So, married. Quote. Hinata smiled. He returned from his training trip with Jiraiya of the Sannin and saw me. We went out several times. Hinata blushed. He asked me to marry him, and despite my father not liking Naruto, I went with him to the Hokage and we were married that night. She smiled, remembering, and Tsunami kept working on her wounds. We were happy, and then 2 months later the order came in and Naruto along with a group of Konoha nin were sent out to retrieve Sasuke Uchiha. Quote. XX. Downstairs, Inari and his grandfather had removed the bloody shirt from Naruto and were working on cleaning up his back. They watched as the wounds were closing at a rapid pace. Clean up what we can. We'll see how far these close and then bandage him up. Tazuna said. Hinata and Tsunami came back. The bridge builder saw the girl was wearing one of his daughter's kimonos. You're safe here, girl. This country owes this boy here a lot, he said as they worked on Naruto's wounds. Hinata took his hand as she continued her story to Tsunami. Naruto and his team caught the Uchiha near the border of Rice. It was a pitched battle and in the end the Oto nin with Sasuke were killed and Naruto had beaten Sasuke into unconsciousness. Quote. She stroked his hair, ignoring the blood and sweat. Upon arrival, the villagers of Konoha began attacking Naruto, calling him monster, demon and many other names. They think he is the Kyuubi no Kitsune that is sealed away in him. Quote. The three in the room took a deep breath at that. But he's not. He's the jailer. Anbu showed up with the Hokage and took Sasuke away and Naruto was taken to the hospital. I was on duty when he arrived and helped Shizune patch him and his team up. It was then that the council sent the order. Naruto was dragged before the council and the charges were filed. The family could see the girl's pain. They ordered his execution. Naruto refused and demanded to see the Hokage. He fought his way out, forced to knock out numerous Anbu that the council had summoned. I was outside waiting when he rushed from the building. Her hand stroked his hair slowly. We managed to get to the gates, but the villagers thought it was open season and started hurling things at Naruto. Some of our friends that weren't in the hospital helped us escape. We made it a quarter of a mile before Anbu caught up with us. They tried to kill both of us, me for being his wife. That's not how they phrased it, Hina-chan. Naruto muttered as his eyes opened again. Shish. Rest, love, she said, stroking his hair. He nodded and his body relaxed again. They died, badly, Hinata said. The whole journey here we've been under constant attack. I ran out of chakra early this morning. Naruto carried me on his back and fought the rest of the way. He brought us here out of desperation when we lost them in the storm earlier. Tazuna nodded. I'll get a couple of the lads and go back over your trail, he said and got up, leaving Inari and Tsunami with the battered couple. Come on, we'll get you both upstairs and I'll make you something to eat and bring it to you. Naruto struggled to keep his eyes open once Inari sat him up. We'll be gone in the morning, the blonde muttered. You will not. You and Hinata here will hide right here. Not safe, Naruto said. It will be. Trust us, Naruto. End flashback. Ruto shook head as he finished the wood. You going to help at the bar tonight? Sure. Mom's got nothing for me to do after I drop off the wood for the night. Inari shook his head as he and Naruto man bundled the wood. Hey bro, when are you and Nata gonna give me a nephew to spoil? Quote. Ruto laughed as he ruffled the younger boy's hair. When will you tell your mother you're interested in little Kaylee? Inari blushed this time. We'll keep that under your hat, bro. Ruto smiled. Sure. Sure. Coward. Ruto teased and Inari huffed as he loaded the bundles onto a cart. I hear Nata has some herbs she wants us to take to Suna to sell as well, Inari said as he and the blonde hooked the harness to the nearby horse to pull the wood-filled cart. Yeah, should get a decent sale price, Ruto said as they walked. The pair walked back to the village talking about random topics. Inari wished him well and Ruto headed to get the bar ready for the night. Whistling a tune, he opened the door and stepped in, dropping the wood into the bin next to the fireplace. Honey, I'm home, he called as he went to the bar and was checking to make sure the mugs were ready. Nada, he called, not hearing an answer. That's funny, She said she'd be here getting the kitchen ready. He thought stepping into the tavern's kitchen. He froze seeing his wife sitting tied up in a chair, a gag in her mouth. Hello, Naruto. A lazy voice said. The blonde's stomach clenched as he turned towards the shadowed corner where a U-shaped eye indicated his former sensei was grinning at him. It's been a long time. Kakashi Hatake said. Naruto looked at his wife. Her wide lavender eyes warned him and he sidestepped the blow that would have connected with his head. He spun and kicked hard, knocking the figure back out into the tavern. He cursed not being armed. Damn it, we got complacent. He saw Kakashi hadn't moved. Enough. The copycat said and the figure in the tavern groaned. Sigh. Stand down. Naruto slipped next to his wife and pulled the gag out. You okay? He asked. Yes. They got me from behind and threatened to hurt the girls if I didn't cooperate. Naruto narrowed his eyes as he glared at Kakashi. Where are they? Upstairs with Sakura. Kakashi said, taking a seat on a stool and grabbing a roll off the counter. And they won't be harmed. He said, sniffing it before putting it down. Look at you, all grown up. Stuff the pleasantries, Hatake-san. We know you've come to kill us. Leave the villagers here alone. Naruto said. Kill you? Kakashi was confused. Yeah, like the endless wave of Anbu who tried to kill us. Naruto said as he untied Hinata. Kakashi made no move to stop him. Naruto noticed the person he kicked was back in the doorway. Why else come and threaten harm to barmaids and attack me and my wife like you have? Hinata was free and rubbing her wrists. Her eyes blazed as she looked at Sai. We're not here to kill you, Naruto. We're here to take you back home. Naruto and Hinata both snorted. This is our home, Hatake. Konoha is a place that tried to kill me for bringing their vaunted Uchiha home. Quote. He saw Kakashi wince. And I recall the oh-so-kind words of those bastards who I thought were friends. The words they said to my wife. Blue eyes were hardening. And don't think I know what will happen when I get back to Konoha. The council will have me executed for that bullshit all those years ago, and for daring to escape. And I'll be killed for helping him. Hinata said. Correct. Sai said. No, they are not. Kakashi said as he pulled a scroll and put it on the table between them. He rolled it to them. What's that? Naruto asked, not making a move to touch it. A pardon. For Hinata. Naruto said. For both of you. Lady Tsunade has been busting heads since that stunt 9 years ago. Whatever, Hatake. We aren't going back. We're no longer ninja, and Konoha has nothing for us but pain. You don't have a choice. Sai said. Sai, quiet. Naruto, Hinata, please. I ask you and your team leave my tavern, Hatake. We're citizens of Wave. Naruto was wondering how the hell they found them here. He had many questions, but he couldn't ask them. Captain, our orders were to bring them back. Sai said from the doorway. Kakashi sighed. We are to bring you back. Regardless of the life we have now. Hinata said, her eyes moving from Sai to Kakashi. It took us a long time to find you. The only reason we knew you were here is because Kankuro let it slip. Quote. Stupid bastard. Gaara's gonna slit his throat. Naruto mumbled. The cage should have informed us where you were. Kakashi said. The treaty with Konoha and Suna. Stuff it. Naruto said, not wanting to hear the political bullshit. Leave, Hatake. The side door opened and Inari stepped in with a crossbow. You aren't taking them. This village will die before you harm them. Kakashi didn't turn. Hello, Inari. You've grown big since I've last seen you. Quote. I've alerted the garrison that the cage has here, bro. Temari's on her way. Kakashi winced at that. There is no need for this. He tried to calm things down. He saw Sai's hand moving. Don't do it, Sai. That's an order. Quote. I have my own orders, Captain. From the council. If Uzumaki refuses to return, he is to be killed. He stopped, feeling a kunai pressed against his neck. Hello, Haruno. Naruto said, seeing his pink-haired former teammate as she was holding a kunai to the throat of her current teammate. XX. Inari had finished unloading the wood and told his mother he was going to help Ruto and Nada with the bar tonight. All right, dear. And remind them that they are coming for lunch tomorrow. Tsunami said. He'd rushed down the streets into the small man-made island that housed the tavern. The bridge his father had built to it was beautiful. He hurried to the door and stopped when he heard angry voices. He listened and the words made him freeze. Oh shit. They came for them. Think Inari, Tamari. He rushed to the messenger bird station and sent a rushed note. Konoha's here. Naruto needs help. He rushed home and grabbed his crossbow and quiver that he used for hunting and ran back towards the Avern. He heard them still arguing when he opened the door. He saw the white-haired man from all those years and knew this was hurting his brother, seeing his former sensei here to take him in. XX. Sakura winced at the cold tone from her former teammate. Hey Naruto, Hinata. Long time no see, she said as she held the kunai at Sai's neck. She'd been upstairs with the serving girls and heard Naruto's call for Hinata. Kami. He sounds happy. She listened to the fight in the harsh tone from downstairs. Both of you stay here, she told the two girls as she slipped downstairs and heard Sai's words. She saw red. Those bastards. She pulled her kunai and moved up. Not long enough, Naruto said, bursting into her thoughts. She flinched. I strongly suggest you leave and forget we were here, Hatake. Naruto said, turning his gaze back to his former sensei. We want no trouble with Konoha. Too late for that demon. Sai said. You have nothing but trouble from Konoha. Sai, shut up. Kakashi said. I am sorry Naruto, Hinata, but I have my orders. You are to be brought back to the Hokage. Quote. They may have been away from Konoha for some time, but Kakashi saw that neither had allowed their skills to slacken in all the years since their escape. Simple living hadn't dulled their arts as Hinata with a backhanded slap sent a bag of flour flying from the table towards Sai and Sakura. Naruto meanwhile had grabbed a pair of butcher knives and dove at Kakashi. Inari, go, he yelled and the boy looked like he wanted to argue. Tell Tamari. The blonde ordered as Kakashi used a kunai to block the blades the blonde was using. Don't do this Naruto. Just come along peacefully and I promise it will be alright. Kakashi said. Like hell it will. I did everything to bring that Uchiha back to the village that he abandoned and what was the thanks I got? Quote. Kakashi winced. I got a death sentence for beating up Sasuke Uchiha who was a traitor. Not going back to the gallows Hatake, you're going to have to kill me here. Kakashi ducked and weaved avoiding the kitchen knives. Naruto's gotten better away from Konoha, how is this possible? I swear it's not to the gallows, he began but a near miss drove him back. Right. Then the executioner's blade, or poison. News flash Hatake, the Kyuubi made my system immune. Quote. Kakashi backed off, shocked that Naruto would speak so openly about the Kyuubi. Surprised Hatake, I have no secrets from my wife, and news flash, all of the villagers here in Wave know about it and they don't hate or despise me for being the container. Quote. A kick from Naruto made Kakashi sidestep and doing that he saw Hinata was holding off Sai and Sakura, the pink-haired med nin was backing off, her left arm hanging uselessly at her side. Juken strike. Kakashi thought as he spun out of the way of another series of swipes from Naruto, each one closer than the last. I've got to end this now before someone gets killed. Kakashi thought and as he spun connected with a pressure point blow to Naruto's neck. The blonde gasped and fell to his knees dropping the blades in his hands. Hinata hearing her husband turned her attention and saw him down. She went to aid him, but Kakashi appeared before her and clotheslined her. He was there and had her bound in the blink of an eye. Sakura, binders for Naruto, now. Kakashi ordered. Sai moved forward, but Kakashi froze him in place with a look. Stand where you are, Sai. We're going to talk about your allegiance to Danzo, and the up of this mission you made it to be. Quote. With both Naruto and Hinata bound, Kakashi slung them over his shoulders. Sakura, release the girls upstairs. Sai, take point, we'll talk once we're out of Wave. They exited the inn and Kakashi frowned seeing so many villagers across the bridge to the town. His lone eye focused on the Suna nin that were crossing, and the very pissed off expression on Temari's face. This just isn't my day. Kakashi thought seeing the fan wielder and she was armed with twin battle fans. This won't be good. Stand down Kakashi and release them. Tamari ordered as her squad formed behind her once they reached land. I can't do that Tamari. They are fugitives from Konoha and must be returned to the Hokage. Kakashi said ping Naruto to Sakura, while keeping Hinata on his shoulder. They are citizens of Wave and under the protection of the cage of Suna. You knew they were here Tamari, you knew and lied. Kakashi countered, ignoring her statement. Damn right I knew, she said. Your Kami damned village turned on a hero and for what? A traitor. Gaara and I won't let you railroad them, Kakashi. Naruto is a hero in several countries and what your council has done is sick. Quote. She made a hand gesture and the squad behind her fanned out. Tell me, Hatake, how is the Uchiha doing these days? Oh, that's right, he ran away again. And didn't he kill someone? That's right, he killed Choji Akamaiki who'd been his guard, and he raped Ino Yamanaka on his way out. My Kakashi, Konoha's pride and joy really has some great things going for him. Temari mocked and Kakashi winced. He couldn't deny anything as it was all true. Regardless, Naruto and Hinata are Konoha nin and they must stand before the Hokage. Quote. Temari's battle fans opened and he saw that they were of the bladed variety. Not good, he thought. Commotion caused him to see the villagers armed with machetes, plow blades, staffs and bows. Ruto and Nata are members of this village, they have done nothing wrong the time they've been here. Quote. Tazuna, you know that this is Naruto Uzumaki, a genin of Konoha. Kakashi said. Genin. After all he's done he's still listed as a genin. Me sideways, I'd leave you too if that is how you deal with loyal ninja. Quote. It's not like that, Sakura said. Bullshit Pinky. Temari said. Shikamaru was promoted after the Chunin exams, and he gave up and didn't do as well. Naruto not only beat the Hyuga prodigy, he beat my brother, and he was denied. He brings your 5th Hokage to Konoha and he's still treated like shit. He brings back your Ing Uchiha and they order his death. Kakashi had nothing to say. It was all true. He saved the princess in snow. He rescued people of rice. Temari continued. He saved my brother's life and made him more human and you think I don't know how it is? I was at his Ing wedding. Kakashi winced. Where were his so-called friends and teammates? That's right, you were all sucking the Uchiha's Ing needle-sized as he bemoaned being beaten by Naruto. That's not. Sakura tried but she couldn't deny it. They had been at the hospital. She remembered that day when Naruto asked her to come to something special for him and she hit him and told I am to get lost. Shikamaru, Konohamaru and his 2 little friends, Neji Hyuga, Tenten, Rock Lee and their weirdo instructor, Iruka, Shizune, the ramen vendor, his daughter Master Jiraiya Hinata's teammates and sensei, that psycho Jonin from the 2nd exam and the Hokage were the only ones from Noah who were there. My brothers and I were there and Princess Yuki was there from spring. The Fire Lord married them, told them that he wished more of his ninja were like them. Then not even a day later your council orders his death. Quote. Kakashi wanted to refute it, but he couldn't. What hurt was that several of his fellow Jonin had gone and never spoke to him the same after that day as he had been at the hospital with Sasuke. That is neither here nor there. He said. We have our orders and they are missing Nin. He said. They had a death sentence. Temari snarled. If they stayed Naruto would be dead and you can bet your porn collection that Hinata would have been right behind him in death. Quote. I'm sure that time. What time Hatake? Anbu moved to kill him as soon as the council ordered it. Temari demanded. She eyed Sai. Don't move boyo. I know you're not a Chunin. Kakashi blinked. What? He works for Danzo. We've known about Root for some time now, and its members. Sai twitched and he was engulfed in sand. All turned to see Gaara standing on the roof of the inn. Lord Cage. The Suna Nin said. Temari smiled at her brother. Kakashi sweated bullets as he saw the ruler of Suna behind him, and the Cage did not look happy. You have someone under my protection Hatake. He said, his voice cold and unforgiving. Day just got worse. Kakashi thought as he saw Sai was cocooned in sand. And Gaara never thinks clearly where Naruto is involved. XX. Naruto groaned as he opened his eyes. He saw he was several feet off the ground and looking at something red, and strand of pink blew in. Put me down Haruno. He said and heard her squeak. Naruto. Put me the down, NOW Haruno. His feet touched and he looked around quickly. He saw Kakashi still had Hinata, and Gaara was atop the inn looking rather pissed. Hey Gaara, you're early, haven't even gotten the fire lit yet. Naruto said. The red-headed Cage looked at him and shook his head. You can't stay out of trouble without someone watching over you. Quote. Naruto shrugged then turned back towards Kakashi. Put my wife down Hatake. Kakashi did as he was told this time. Naruto was there cradling her against his body. Take the binders off. Gaara said. Lord Cage, this is a Konoha matter. I would have agreed once, but they are citizens of Suna and Wave as well. Kakashi was wondering what kind of mess this was becoming. He watched as Temari freed Naruto and Hinata from their bonds, and he saw the tenderness in the blonde as he tended to his wife. The blue eyes turned towards him. You hurt her. Naruto, stand down. Gaara said. The growl from the blonde told all that if he had 5 minutes alone with Kakashi there would be no holding back. Naruto picked up his wife and walked back to the inn. Bars closed tonight, folks. He called over his shoulder. One of the serving girls opened the door and closed it once he was inside. I am more than disappointed in how Konoha treats its heroes. Gaara said. He sand shushined down to the bridge. Sai was still cocooned in sand. Go back to Konoha. Tell them I will bring the Uzumakis to visit, but they are under my protection. Non-negotiable Hatake. And be aware I will be sharing this with the ruler of spring, along with the Fire Lord. Kakashi backed up. Sakura, let's go. Lord Gaara, if you would release. No, the root stays, he's wanted for murder of Wave citizens from his previous ventures. Quote, how do you know? His drawings. His chakra matches those of the ink attacks. Kakashi looked at Sai, whose face was sticking out of the sand. What have you done? What is best for Konoha? Sai said without emotion. Kakashi sighed. Sakura, let's go. We have to report to the Hokage of what's happened. The pink-haired woman's eyes were still on the inn. Sakura, let's go. Kakashi said, pulling her along. Citizens of Wave parted. There were no friendly looks in the crowd like the last time they'd been here. This time the looks were cold, unwelcoming. They saw Tsunami coming their way. She walked past them and hurried to the inn, not even sparing them a glance. Once they were across the Great Naruto Bridge, they leapt full speed from tree to tree. XX. Naruto sat next to Hinata's bedside. He sighed when she finally opened her eyes. Love, he said, how are you feeling? He asked after helping her sit up. Like I ran into a clothesline and my head hit concrete. Hinata said weakly as she took the water from him. Oh, good, that sounds right. He said. There was a knock on the door and it opened to reveal Tsunami. Hey, Naruto said. You just can't stay out of trouble. She said, pulling out several vials. She, aw man. Naruto said. From the door Inari snickered. Give it up, bro. Mom's just worried is all. I bet she'd give Nada a piece of her mind if you were still down. Quote. Both women snorted. They are being run out of town right now. Tsunami said. Yeah, Gaara-sama has that one that killed a couple of the lookouts, but your former teammates crossed the bridge and kicked it into high gear back to Konoha. Inari said while Naruto sat with Hinata. The married couple shared a look. We'll need to pack and get going then. Naruto said. What? Why? Inari asked. Because Hunter Nins will be coming soon, and we don't want any of you in danger or hurt. Hinata said after downing the tonic from Tsunami. We'll protect you. You're part of our family. Inari said. Not against this. Naruto said. Now that they know, they'll send the best they have. What will you do? Tsunami asked. The door opened and Gaara entered. They will come with me. He said, his voice cold. In the meantime the girls and Inari can run the inn. Hinata said, breaking the tension. Naruto nodded. He looked at Gaara. And why should we go with you? Because you are under my protection and we are going to close Konoha's claim once and for all. Do we really have to do this? Naruto asked. Yes. Gaara intoned. Your allies are gathering as well, and we shall end this ridiculous farce. What? Naruto-kun. Hinata said. They were in the wagon, Tazuna and Tsunami were with them. Inari was staying in Wave to run their inn with the aid of the serving girls. I just don't want any of you in danger. The blonde said. This could ruin Suna's trade agreements with Konoha. Temari, who was walking with her brothers next to the wagon, snorted. That's not a loss. We can get the same supplies from Spring, Waterfall, or Smoke. Do not worry about us, Uzumaki. It is time for those you've aided to aid you. What the council in Konoha has been doing looks bad upon their village. Quote. Naruto sighed as Hinata hugged him to her. Both were riding. Gaara's scolding that they had allowed their ninja skills to decline in the years had been brutally honest. Naruto knew he could have taken Kakashi, but he'd held back, but he also knew an extended battle he would have lost. Are we that out of shape? The blonde thought. He'd been scared when Hinata had been tied to the chair. He'd become complacent over the years. And now I face execution and risk all I hold dear. He thought sadly. Hinata's hand tightened her grip in his and he looked at her. Do not blame yourself, love. I left my guard down as well. He looked to the bruises on her neck and he swore he'd get Hitaki for that. Lord Casecage, I've told you before to call me Gaara. The bland reply cut him off. And I told you to call me Naruto, but you keep falling back to Uzumaki, and I notice that happens when you're annoyed. Quote. Gaara sighed as he leapt into the wagon. I apologize, my friend. It is not you I am mad at. I failed to protect you and your wife. When I placed the garrison in Wave, it was for your protection, and yet Konoha knows about you now. Quote. It was bound to happen. Hinata said. Nearly 10 years. I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner. Hinata said, cutting off the self-blame game her husband and his friend played. Neither of you are at fault. We'll clean up this mess, and go home. She said, trying to put a positive spin on the situation. Naruto wished he had his wife's confidence, and he saw Gaara shared his disbelief that they were going to get a fair deal from the council in Konoha. XX. Far too soon did the Miv Wood gates of Konohagakure came into view. Hey old man, Naruto said. Yeah brat. The two continued their long-time nicknames even after all this time. Anyway, I can convince you to take Hina-Hime and Tsunami Ne-chan home. Quote. Not a chance, brat. Your family, and family sticks together. Besides, the only way to get your wife away would be knocking her out. Naruto winced at that and turned to see Hinata sleeping against his shoulder still. He knew she would rip him a new one if he sent her away. Tsunami was at the back of the wagon and he saw she was working on another blanket. She constantly was repairing Inari's camping gear. Thought as much. He said. Gaara, Tamari, Kankuro and nearly 20 Suna nin were around the wagon. If anyone tries for the Uzumakis in any way, kill them. Gaara intoned. Hi, Lord Casecage. They intoned, many of them drawing their swords. Tamari leapt onto the wagon and leaned on her fan, still closed. Stay down. I wouldn't put it past them to try to use a sniper. She said. Naruto hated the feeling of being protected. But he knew better than to argue with the wind mistress. He nudged Hinata awake. Love, we're here. Her eyes fluttered open, and Naruto took a secret pleasure seeing her awaken. It was one of his favorite hobbies, watching his wife sleep and her kittenish movements when she woke, from her stretching, to her cute yawn. Her pale yes looked around and saw the gates. I never thought we'd be back here. She said softly. They both remembered the night they fled. The amount of hunter nin they killed. Their hands tightened as they saw the gates open, and waiting there were several squads of ninja. Even from here they could spot their former friends, teammates, and Naruto saw Tsunade. Ba-chan's aged badly in the last 10 years. He thought seeing her haggard appearance. He spotted Konohamaru, Iruka, and his eyes landed on his former sensei and teammate. Gaara moved forward. Lady Tsunade. He intoned. Lord Gaara. She said, her eyes focusing on the red head before her, despite the need to focus on the blonde in the wagon. We will take possession of the one of the council began, but found the way blocked by a wall of sand. You are under the misconception that Naruto Uzumaki and his wife are under arrest. They are here as my advisors to deal with negotiations with Konoha. They are missing nin. The council member said. The tightening of Tsunade's fist should have been warning. They are fugitives and murderers. Really? Gaara said, his voice becoming colder. That should have been the idiot's second warning. He and his whore attacked loyal ninja of the leaf. Killing honorable ninja. The councilman continued. Strike 3. Sand engulfed the man. You speak about a hero of the people of Wave, Suna, Spring and several other countries, including this one. Gaara said, his eyes taking in the gathered leaf. He is honorable, loyal and has a heart as big as the elemental nations. He's risked his life time after time for you in this village, and no matter what he is spit upon. Gaara speaking so much was unheard of. To hear emotion in his voice was as rare as Jiraiya giving up peeping. He performed the mission given to him and brought back your precious Uchiha, and you demand his execution. Gaara's voice went cold. For that alone I would declare war on Konoha. Gasps were heard. But my friend begged me not to. For 10 years, he held my judgment back. And I came here to clear up this foolishness, Even after hearing your Uchiha once more abandoned the village, you still seek to harm someone that doesn't deserve it, and I bet right now if the Uchiha waltzed in the gate Tomer Ro, you would ignore his crimes and hand him the position of Hokage. Tsunade looked at the council which wouldn't meet her gaze. I see. Gaara said. I am informing you now. Naruto Uzumaki and his wife Hinata Uzumaki have multi-citizenship. He looked at Tsunade. They are citizens of Spring, Wave, and Suna. Any attack upon them from Konoha will result in war and embargoes being levied against the Leaf Village. You can't do that, a councilman said. Haven't even the Fire Daimyo agreed. Gaara said, holding up a scroll with the Fire Lord's personal seal upon it. Princess of Spring. He held up another. My own. He held up a scroll with his seal upon it. And the unified citizens of Wave. He held up the fourth scroll. Another attempt like what happened in Wave will result in breaking the alliance. You're sheltering a monster, a citizen yelled. Gaara's evil grin filtered across his face. You call him monster? Then what is your precious Uchiha? Has Yamanaka regained her sanity or the use of her arms? Several in the crowd winced. When he was escaping, he'd killed Choji who was bringing him his dinner. Sasuke had slipped from the secure ward in the prison, made it to the street and found Ino Yamanaka who was coming back from dinner with her parents. He'd attacked her, muffling her screams and dragged her to the Uchiha district where he broke both her arms, damaging the tendons in ways that would make it impossible for her ever to be a ninja again, then spent time raping her, humiliating her and then leaving her battered and altered body in the streets. He slipped over the walls and was gone even as the alarms were raised when a patrol discovered Choji's body in the Uchiha cell. Sasuke Uchiha is unbalanced due to the curse seal from Orochimaru. A councilman said. Gaara snorted. That's not what Jiraiya, a seal master and Sannin says. How do you know this? The councilman demanded. Because I've spent time with him asking him about it. Gaara said. And I have paid orders to all my ninja, that should they encounter the Uchiha, they are to kill on sight. You can't. The Sharingan, the councilman began, but like his fellow loudmouth was engulfed in a cocoon of sand. Imbecile. Gaara intoned. He looked at Tsunade. Why do you allow them this much power? You are the Hokage, they are only meant to advise you. Tsunade licked her lips. They acquired this power long before I became Hokage. It's difficult to overrule what's been in place for nearly 20 years. Gaara snorted. Kill them and replace them and their laws. I did so upon becoming Kazekage and saw the corruption my father allowed to run rampant. Quote. Many council members took steps back at this. Civilians have no place in these matters. Gaara said. Tsunade nodded. Good. Gaara said. Now, about the Uzumakis. A kunai sailed through the air. Its destination wasn't either cage, it was the blonde in the wagon. Temari's wind blast sent it flying off into the wall. Her eyes locked on the masked figures arrayed behind the council. Root. She hissed. Gaara looked and saw them as well. Since you can't keep your own garden clean, Lady Tsunade, it seems we shall have to pull the weeds in order for the AF to grow strong. Two of his ninja dropped barrels they were carrying, and the covers came off revealing they were filled with sand. Danzo, I believe I have 2 words for you and your Root. The councilman and leader of Root stood at the back, secure in that he was too far from harm, or so he thought. Sabuku Soso. Gaara intoned. Sabuku Soso. The sand rushed along the ground bypassing many. Those it did engulfed were people Gaara and his spies had identified right away. You shall never harm my friend again. Gaara said. Gaara, stop. Naruto was out of the wagon and putting a hand on Gaara's shoulder. This isn't the way, the blonde said. Danzo, who looked like he'd soiled himself as the sand stopped at his neck, looked on, thinking of the reprieve he'd just been given, and the thought of how can I manipulate this situation ped through his mind. You're still too kind, Uzumaki. Gaara said. These fools will be the death of you and your family. Naruto looked at Hinata, who climbed out of the wagon. She stopped next to him, her fingers lacing with his. Bloodshed won't solve anything. They'll still hate and blame me for everything and you'll have their deaths on your hands. The gathered Konoha citizens watched. What would you have me do? Gaara asked his friend. Finish your negotiations and whatever, and let us go home. I'm sick of looking over my shoulder. You'll always look over your shoulder. They know where you are now. They know you're vulnerable. Gaara said. Naruto sighed. I don't know anymore. He looked at Hinata. The pair shared so much with a glance. Ba-chan, he called out. Brat, you've gotten older, Tsunade said, stepping around the raised sand arms. So have you, even with the jutsu. Tsunade walked up and hugged him tightly. Release us, a councilman ordered. They don't learn very well, do they? Naruto said from the embrace of a woman he considered family. No, they don't, she said, and then released him and pulled Hinata into a hug. No grandchildren. Both blushed. She laughed. Lord Cage, Tsunade said. Lady Hokage, he said, his voice emotionless. Is there any way we can work out this situation? Wiping out the council, she smiled. As much as I would like that, the paperwork would bury me for months. Naruto laughed. Still haven't figured it out. Quote, figured out what? The Godime Hokage asked. Shaking his head, he looked at the gathered people. He looked at those who were Genin when he was still there. All of them were wearing Jonin vests now. He saw the Jonin senseis all looking older. Konohamaru was standing there in a Chunin vest. He looked back as Tsunade spoke again. We need to settle this. Yes, I can't let you kill citizens of Konoha. Quote, and I can't let them kill a citizen of Suna, nor continue to harm a hero of several nations with their pointless vendetta. Tsunade saw the council was still wrapped in sand. The phrase, reap what you sow, kept pinging through her mind, and she so wanted to let the cage remove the fools. The devil on my shoulder is here. Where the hell is the angel that's supposed to be on the other shoulder? Getting gang raped on the off-ramp to your conscience. The darker part of her mind supplied. Other than the paperwork, can you supply one reason why I should allow them to live? One stupid council member spoke up. The demon killed loyal Nin, he deserves to die. Gaara brought up a wall of sand to block the blood as he tightened his will, and the said councilman was crushed like a rape. Screams filled the air as citizens backed off. Naruto Uzumaki will not be a whipping boy for Konoha anymore, he said coldly. And this is why he won't be coming back here. Shouts filled the air. Silence. Tsunade roared. She looked back at the Uzumakis, then at Gaara. Perhaps we should continue this in my office, she said. Gaara nodded. He looked at his sister. Stay here. If anyone tries to release them, kill them, he said, and walked away with Tsunade, Naruto and Hinata following. XXT. Gaara shook his head while Naruto and Hinata took a seat on the couch by the window. What will it take to get Naruto back here on active duty? Tsunade asked. Nothing. He's not coming back. We are here to put an end to the bounty hunters and get him and his wife removed from the bingo book. The council. Are you, or are you not the Hokage? Gaara asked with a raised eyebrow. It's not that simple. The council gained many powers when the fourth Hokage died, and the third was too damn tired of it all to fight them. By the time I became Hokage, the position was more figurehead than leader. Quote, their actions are treasonous, execute them, rewrite the laws, and then hire a new council. Gaara said, I removed all my father's bootlickers and power-hungry idiots. People like that Danzo would not survive in Suna. Quote, Danzo is an old war horse that has dug himself in deeply. It's not that easy to remove him. Naruto snorted. Funny. Gaara would have if I hadn't stopped him. He looked at his wife. I did that stupid saving people thing again, didn't I, Haim? Quote, Hinata leaned against him and smiled. You did, but that's part of your charm, dear. She then looked at the cages before them. Lady Tsunade, Lord Gaara, you both seem to be the opinion that my husband and I wish to return to being ninjas. After what has happened, we know we can never trust Konoha again, and while we owe Gaara and Suna much, neither of us wish to be used again. Gaara smiled and nodded. My wife is right. We just want to run our inn and be left alone. We don't want to deal with ninja village politics anymore. So you're running away, Tsunade said. If you want to look at it that way, fine. Naruto said with a shrug. All my life I was abused, looked down upon. I'm tired, Ba-chan. When I gave everything I was for this village and they ordered my death, I don't want to do it anymore. My concern is looking after my wife, running our tavern, and having children. Tsunade sighed. We need you. No, you don't, Naruto said. You have hundreds of ninja, who are better trained than I ever was. You have Hyuga who in their superiority say they have the best Byakugan. Sadly, Ba-chan, I won't subject myself nor my wife to any more abuse. Don't you miss your friends? She asked. Yes, the pair said without hesitation. But they all moved on well, we see. John and the lot of them. You don't need us, Ba-chan. We're still a pair of genin, ones who haven't fought in nearly 10 years. Granted, we still work out and keep in shape, but mission ready. I doubt it. And what will Suna do? Tsunade asked. Return them home, station the garrison in Wave and leave them be. Gaara said. And visit once a month to get a good meal. Naruto interjected. Hinata smacked his arm. What? He shows up once a month under the pretense of looking over the garrison, but we all know he comes to have a good hot meal and destroy me in chess and then swipes the pies you made before leaving. Gaara looks away, a small smile on his lips. They are very good, he says softly while Hinata laughs. I do hope you like them, Gaara. You steal 3 and the other 3 I have one of the children that run errands take the other 3 to the garrison. Tsunade looks at them sadly. For nearly a decade they had been hiding, and Gaara had known and never once said anything. The council won't let this go. Tsunade said. The civilians are cruel and petty. And trying to remove the council from my sand coffins. Gaara said. Tsunade stood and went to an alcove where she pulled out the crystal ball. She focused her will and chakra, and the scene showed Root Anbu fighting the Suna ninja while civilians tried to free the council. Not very smart, are they? Naruto muttered. They watched as Tamari and Konkuro flattened several Root members. Where are your people? Gaara asked. The crystal showed them fighting off more Root. Seems Danzo is trying a takeover. Gaara sighed. Judgment has been paid. They had their chance, and this is what they do. Quote. He looked at the crystal and focused his will. The 4 in the office watched as the sand whipped about. Tendrils out and struck Root and civilians that were fighting and trying to free the council. Flawless victory. Gaara muttered as he flexed his hand, and the council members trapped in his sand were crushed. Naruto shook his head. See, this is why we shouldn't have gotten him a PlayStation for his birthday. Quote. Hinata shook her head. Men. XX. Kakashi looked at the pulped remains of the Root and council and was glad he hadn't pissed off Gaara. He saw his fellow Konoha Jonin still loyal look sick as the remains oozed into the ground. I think Gaara and Lady Tsunade are well aware of what happened here. He said to Guy. Get a couple of squads of Chunin and Anbu out here to police the crowd. We'll start checking the remains. I'll head to the tower and report. Quote. Guy nodded to his friend before they both leapt off to separate directions. Welcome home, Naruto, Kakashi thought, and silently offered a prayer that the gamble would work and the blonde would remain. Hitaki. Naruto said as he and Hinata were leaving the Hokage's office. Naruto, can I have a word? Kakashi asked. Even when I say no, you'll do it anyway, so what do you want? Naruto said. Kakashi looked at Hinata, who didn't even twitch. I would like to speak with you alone. And I'd like to kick you in the balls for the stunt you pulled at my home, but we don't always get what we want. Besides, I have no secrets from my wife. Very well. Has Lady Tsunade informed you that you'll be rejoining Team 7 and, Kakashi stopped as Naruto laughed at him. Oh, she tried. Naruto said. Flashback. And why exactly should we return to this hellhole? Naruto asked. Naruto, you're the last heir of the Namikaze clan. We need you here to rebuild your clan and claim your seat, and I want you to take over as Hokage from me. Naruto looked at Tsunade, blinked. Waited, then blinked again before looking at Hinata. Tell me she's drunk. I think she's serious, Ruto-kun. Hinata said, falling back to using his name he'd had the last 10 years. Shaking his head, he looked at her. No. What? They say hearing is the first to go. Naruto muttered as he picked up a piece of paper and wrote no in big bold letters and underlined it. Can you read that, or has your eyesight gone as well? Quote. Naruto, your responsibilities died the day those people out there threatened to execute me, and the Shinobi Council did nothing to stop them. No, Lady Tsunade, neither my wife, nor I will put our lives in Konoha's hands ever again. Quote. Gaara, since his execution of the council, sadly only half of it as the other half managed to escape like rats on a sinking ship, was sitting back playing on his handheld game system. Take it, ninja kick the damn rabbit. Quote. The three watched the cage. Hinata looked at Naruto. You got him the portable unit. Naruto shrugged. It's better for him than porn. Keeps him from getting hit by pissed off kunoichis. Hinata sighed. She had to admit her husband was right about that. As I was saying, we won't return. But your heritage. So what? I never had it before. Oji-san never cared enough to tell me. I lived in a burnt out apartment, was abused for as long as I was breathing, and no one gave a damn then. Quote, Naruto, we need you. I need you. 9 years ago Tsunade, that would have meant something. But you didn't try to help me either. I found out on that day who my friends were. Uruka tried to fight for me. Ayame and her father argued for me. Hinata fought her clan for me. She knocked out her father to set me free that day. Where were you? I'll tell you. You were drunk off your when I needed you. Naruto took several deep breaths. I would like for you both to rejoin your teams and. Hell no, first off, neither of us have been ninja for nearly a decade, secondly, we aren't coming back. Gaara, deal with this. Hinata's elbow got him to amend his statement. I mean, Lord Casecage, if you would please continue this, I&M. Why wife are going to retire to the Suna consulate. Gaara reluctantly put his handheld game away. Very well. End flashback. Now that is out of the way, Hataki, we're going. Naruto said as he and Hinata began to walk away. Kakashi grabbed him by the shoulder and spun him around, only to have Hinata spin as well and her palm strike connected with his midsection. He went to one knee and coughed up something he ate in the last 6 days and it spattered the inside of his mask. No touchy, she said and led Naruto away, both of them ignoring the hacking ninja behind them. XX. Across town at the bar, several Konoha nin were talking. They look healthy, Shikamaru commented. Akamaru sitting on the floor barked. Hinata's looking hotter than ever. Kiba said. She's married. Shino reminded him. I know, we were there. I'm just saying. Kiba defended himself. Sakura winced at this. Nearly everyone here had been at Naruto's wedding save her. So, how'd you find them, Sakura? Ten asked from near the dartboard. It was accident really. Kankuro was drunk and let it slip. I told Kakashi who was with Sai. The next day orders came from the council. No more civilian council. Kiba said with a grin. Man, who knew Gaara's reach was so long? Neji was quiet, and Lee noticed. Yush, aren't you happy about the return of our youthful comrades, Neji? Quote, no. Everyone looked at him like he was crazy. Seeing this he explained. The Hyuga Council wants to dissolve Hinata's marriage to Naruto and marry her off to a branch member after putting the caged bird seal upon her. Quote, most unyouthful. Lee said. Tenten's throne kunai split the dartboard. I call bullshit. They were married by the fire daimyo himself, along with 2 cages and the ruler of spring in attendance. They do that, it would call for war on the Hyugas. Quote, not to mention they've been married for a decade. Shikamaru said from where he was leaning, a mug of ale in his hand. Naruto would destroy them for sure. Kiba said. He hasn't been an active ninja for a long time. Sakura said, then wilted under the glares from the gathered nin. No one save Naruto and Hinata know their skills. Sakura nodded then thought back to the inn. She noted both had held back, as if they were hiding something else. Shaking her head she listened on. Well, if the Hyuga elders try something, they'll have the Nara clan after them. Shikamaru said, surprising all. Who are you and what have you done with Shikamaru? Kiba joked. Shut it. Naruto was my friend before he left. He got a raw deal, and I could only delay the hunters a bit. My family too will stand with Uzumaki. Shino said. Yosh. I too will stand with Naruto-kun. Lee said, pumping his fist in the air. Keep it down. They all turned to see Tamari enter the bar. She scanned them all, her eyes hardening when they landed on Sakura. She waited until the pink-haired girl flinched and looked away before walking up to the bar. Tamari. Ten said. Panda. The wind user said in reference to the weapons mistress's hairstyle. She leaned against the bar next to Shikamaru. Slacker. Troublesome woman. Tamari. She looked at Sakura. What do you want? Can you tell us how Naruto and Hinata have been over the years since it's obvious you've known them for some time? She stared at the pink-haired girl. You want to know how Ruto and Nata have been? Fine. They were happy for several years. They built the inn and the people of Wave loved them. They were happily in love, married, and after their 3rd year in Wave, when it looked like the hunter nins had been lost, Nata gave birth to a beautiful baby boy with bright blonde hair, and white eyes. Quote, "Son, I didn't see a sun when we were there," Sakura said, shocked. Temari's eyes darkened. "There's a reason the garrison is there." A year and a half later, a member of the Akatsuki was pinged through. "Itachi Uchiha. He was alone. Ruto. Why do you keep calling them that?" Kiba broke in only to get smacked silent as everyone wanted to hear the tale. Ruto and Nada hid and Tazuna and his family ran the inn. It looked like the ruse worked and he was leaving. "We forgot about his partner, Kisame," Tamari said. They returned, and that night, Kisame and Itachi came back. They came for the power of the nine tails. Tamari was looking at a point on the wall. Ruto and Nada fought tooth and nail, and it was then it happened. Kisame got hold of baby Jin. He threatened to kill the child if Naruto didn't surrender. Itachi was not happy with the plan, but Naruto agreed. He was giving up. He would do anything to protect his wife and son, and then, Kisame in a purely sadistic move said, "For all the trouble you've given us," and amount of dead ends have followed. "I think I'm going to make you suffer." Everyone gasped. He used his sword, Samahata, and Tamari looked away. Naruto went nuts, she said after she controlled herself. There was nothing left of Kisame after that. Itachi got away. We'd arrived for our monthly visit. Temari's tears rolled down her face. For nearly 6 months those two were catatonic. Gaara in desperation hired a sign-in from overseas. They have the incident blocked. As far as Nada and Ruto are concerned, they lost their son in childbirth. All of the villagers are very protective of the pair, but since then, they seem to hold off on another child. We think it's a part of them telling them what really happened that night. Her eyes landed on Sakura. "So tell me, Haruno, how do you think they've been? And you show up to haul them back here, to more pain and suffering." Tamari straightened her back. "Konoha can go to hell." She headed for the door. Once outside, the tears flowed as she cried for her friends that lost a child. She cried for the injustice this village kept heaping on the pair. "Gaara, we need to get them out of here before someone does something that will set them off." XX. Naruto and Hinata sat atop the Hokage monument. "I want to go home," Naruto said softly as they looked over Konoha. "I want to be back at our inn. I want to hear Tazuna whine about Tsunami hiding his booze. I want to listen to old Dalen as he plays his instruments in front of the fire." "Then let's go," Hinata said. "We owe Konoha nothing." He smiled. An explosion in the distance told him Gaara was rearranging the Hokage's office. "Yeah, I think we're done here. We've seen the people, our old friends moved on. Let's go home." "Naruto, can I speak with you?" Iruka Yumino asked. Naruto sighed. Hinata touched his shoulder. "I'll see what set Gaara off." Quote. Naruto looked at her. "Be careful, love," he whispered. She smiled and kissed him before walking away. "You're looking good," Iruka said after studying him. "Married life agrees with me. I like running the tavern, it's peaceful." The blonde said with a shrug. "You're not staying, are you?" Iruka asked. "No. Konoha holds nothing for me. I will have friends here, but it's not enough to keep me here, not after what's been done to me." Quote. Iruka nodded. "Can I ask that you write to me?" Naruto looked at the man who recognized him on the day he became a genin. "Sure. And you can come visit sometime and try Hinata's cooking," Naruto said, patting his stomach. "What are you patting? You're still skinny," Iruka said with a grin. "True, but Nada can fill me up with enough food that I think someday I'm going to be bigger than an Akamichi." Iruka paused. "Sasuke's out there, you know." Quote. "Not my problem, Iruka. I brought him back." The council let him off with a slap on the wrist and ordered my execution for beating him into the ground. "He comes at me or Nada and I will kill him this time. That's if Gaara and the Sunanin stationed in Wave don't get there first." Quote. Iruka nodded. He himself never understood what the council was thinking when they let the Uchiha off. Traitors were executed, not handed everything they wanted. "You want to get some ramen?" Iruka asked. Naruto shook his head. "Like to, but I have a feeling we're leaving soon if that explosion was anything to go by." Iruka looked sad. "Have you been happy, Naruto?" Iruka asked. "As happy as we can be. I'm happy with Nada, wherever we are. I like being around the citizens of Wave. They don't treat me like a leper, or try to kill me. I've made friends, yeah, they're citizens, but you know that's fine." Uruka listened to the blonde he'd worried about. I've learned how to farm, got a plot of land behind the tavern, I grow fresh fruits and vegetables, I've learned how to fish properly. I run the tavern, while Hinata cooks, we've even gotten a couple of orphans living with us and working the tave. RN as well. A family, Uruka said. Naruto smiled. The girls are getting ready to get married themselves, but they told both Nata and I that they want to continue working at the tavern, which is fine. Misha loves to dance when old Dalen plays by the fire, and Gail is one of the best serving girls around. She can and has managed to serve every table by herself on nights when we're packed and Misha is dancing. Quote, I'm sorry I couldn't do more for you, Naruto. I failed you, Uruka said, but the blonde waved it away. You did what you could. Naruto got a grin. So, still teaching at the academy? Yeah, about 6 hours a day. Quote, you need yourself a girl, Uruka. Naruto said, then grinned. Or perhaps the reason you teach 6 hours a day is that you already have one and are incapable of wooing said Kunoichi. His grin got bigger. You're not a eunuch, are you? He asked, looking down pointedly. Naruto. Uruka erupted as the blonde laughed. Sorry. But the look on your face, Uruka. They broke down laughing. I miss you, brat. His former academy instructor said after they calmed down. Miss you too, Uruka-sensei. Naruto said softly. XX. Hinata entered the Hokage tower and saw Shizune huddled behind the desk while explosions sounded in the office. Every so often sand would erupt from the door. Anbu that tried to enter were unconscious or pinned to walls by sand. What happened? I don't know. I went to get them something to drink and when I got back this was happening. Shizune admitted. Anbu's been trying, but they can't get past the door. Hinata sighed and activated her Byakugan. The veins formed and she looked in. Oh, for the love of, she stood and made a path to the door. The sand lashed out and if sensing who it was froze. He entered the doorway. What is going on in here? Her voice rang out and suddenly it went silent. Shizune crept forward and peeked around the door frame. The office was a mixture of fist-size fissures and sand all over. At the center of it was two contrite-looking cages looking at the floor, and shuffling their feet. Hinata extended her hand. Give it. Shizune watched as Tsunade sighed and pulled a handheld game system from her blouse and handed it to Hinata. I cannot believe, Hinata Uzumaki began then stopped. You are both cages. And you fight over a. She took my game while I was playing. Gaara said and Shizune had to admit that it sounded like a whine. You thrashed the Hokage's office over a game. Hinata growled. Sit. She said and pointed to the couch which was the only piece of furniture not destroyed. Hinata watched as the two cages took to the couch. I swear, she began, then stopped. Shizune. The Hokage's eye stand and apprentice stepped forward. Yes, Lady Hinata, she said standing at attention. Would you please get us some supplies in here? I believe our cages here will be cleaning up their mess. Quote. Tsunade opened her mouth to protest as did Gaara, but Hinata rounded on them, her Byakugan eyes blazing. You will clean up this mess, and you will be quiet doing it. This, she said holding up the game in question, I will be holding onto until the two of you are done. Then with Shizune we will determine your punishment. Punishment. Both cages were stunned. Either you accept the punishment we give, or, she held up the handheld game system, I destroy this now. Quote. No. Both cages said. Shizune returned with the supplies. The pair watched as Gaara and Tsunade cleaned the office, the sand reforming into Gaara's gourd. Shizune and Hinata sat to the side sipping tea. Shizune watched her mentor clean the office, surprised that she was doing what she was told. It was when there was an electronic beep and both cages froze that she turned to see Hinata playing the handheld. Hinata, as if sensing eyes on her, looked up and smiled. What? XX. Tamari found Naruto wandering with Iruka. There you are. The fan wielder said with a hint of exasperation. I'll send you a letter later, Iruka. Naruto said. The scar-marked Chunin nodded and wandered away. What is it? Naruto asked. I told them about Jin. Tamari admitted. Wah. I told him Kisame killed him, and fed them a line about you and Nada's minds being wiped of it. Quote. Naruto smirked. Nice. They'll be pissed when they learn the truth. Tamari warned. They're ninja. Their lives are filled with lies and deceptions. Naruto said. They continued to walk, their voices low. I still can't believe Itachi is undercover in Wave, and you have him watching Jin. Naruto's smile reached higher. Akatsuki didn't want to kill the tailed demons. And the deal I made with them once they got rid of their more questionable members was acceptable. They can study me and run their tests. Temari sighed. Dangerous game you and Gaara are playing. Pretending he lost Shukaku. Konoha needs to learn not to meddle in other nations' affairs. I mean really. If Gaara lost Shukaku, do you really think he'd have the mental control he has of sand? Temari sighed. The deal with Akatsuki had given Gaara control, and allowed him to sleep. The other Jinchuriki, if they were able, got similar deals or fake deaths. If it's ever discovered Wave is home to not only the Kyuubi, and 3 other Jinchuriki, but that Itachi Uchiha is there. Naruto smiled. The Tem's going to come running like Orochimaru to an all-boys choir. Quote. Both blondes shuddered. And now that I am grossed out, what else do you have for me? Temari sighed. Shikamaru will come, but he wants to bring Ino. Naruto nodded. We'll have her helped. That Sai ninja we have should be able to help her over her mental trauma. I looked at her medical records, she will never be a ninja again. Naruto nodded at this. You know, no one would ever think the hidden leader of Wave would be a tavern owner and father. Naruto laughed. Deception, my dear Temari, deception. When Kankuro told us he slipped, we put the whole village under its defensive jutsu. People see it as a village that has recovered somewhat from tyranny of Gato. By the time they find out that Wave has a hidden ninja academy and that there is a village hidden under genjutsu runes, I think Konoha will shit a gold brick. Temari admitted. Keep talking to our spies here, Temari. Get them ready to move. I think it's time I check on your brother and make sure he and Granny haven't pissed of Nada too much. Your wife when mad is scary. I'm still amazed she manages to teach at the academy in the morning. Quote. Naruto smiled. I'm not. Nada is an amazing person. And truthfully, I can run the tavern and our garden with shadow clones. We spend the night at the tavern, because we love the people. He pulled out a pipe and lit it with a small Kaden jutsu-like spark. That's disgusting. Temari said. Naruto snorted. A habit I picked up from Oji-san. It is relaxing, and with my healing factor it doesn't do me any harm. It might not, but I thought Nada told you to quit smoking. Quote. Naruto shrugged. With all the ears around, we've kept the deception going pretty damn well. Ruto. Temari said softly. Yeah, fangirl. The whiskered man said with half a grin. Are we doing the right thing? I mean, there are people who care about you here. Naruto puffed on his pipe for a bit, he let the silence stretch, a tact he learned from the third. When it comes to the safety of my village, it's not about what is right or wrong, but what is right, or what is easy. I'm doing the right thing here, Temari, pretending to be weaker. So that's why you let Hitaki get the drop on you and Nada. I nearly had a heart attack seeing him carrying you and Nada out of the tavern over their shoulders. Quote. For a man who claims to look underneath the hidden meanings, Hitaki is quite blind. Naruto said, puffing on his pipe. Silence stretched. After this mission, I'm going to be removed from active duty. Temari said softly. Naruto looked at her with a raised eyebrow. You might want to tell Nada that I owe her 50 ryo. Temari said with a grumbling expression as she crossed her arms. Naruto smiled. Told you never argue with her about things like that, Mari. Temari huffed. Prat. And don't look so smug, you knocked me up, I expect a nice foot mage when my belly gets to be the size of a melon. Naruto tapped out his pipe and grinned. Why you married me and Nada I will never know, Mari. But you've got to admit, we keep things interesting. Temari huffed. Now, where is Kankuro? Please tell me that he's done his job and isn't playing with his dolls and makeup. Quote. Temari smirked. Oh, he's doing it. And if I know his partner, our hidden spy here, he's doing it with the threat of being stabbed anytime he slows down. Naruto nodded as he slipped his pipe away. Good. Once we're done, his eyes flicked up and to the left. Temari nodded and they both shushined away. On a rooftop, Kakashi Hitaki stood, his eyes wide at everything he'd listened into. He turned feeling a kunai pressed against his neck. Hasn't anyone told you it's rude to listen in on private conversations between a man and one of his wives? Naruto. I think we're going to be having that fight a lot sooner than we'd expected, Hitaki. This is one conversation you won't be reporting in on. Kakashi swallowed. Naruto, what, was as far as he got before Temari's fan along the back of his head knocked him out. See, my chakra overwhelmed his senses and he never felt you coming. Naruto said to the other blonde. Whatever. What are we going to do with Snoopy here? Naruto created a shadow clone. A smile on Naruto's face told the fan user that whatever it was, it would be embering and revealed far too late for Kakashi's statement to matter. XX. Short time later the two blondes separated. The Cage of Waves smiled as he walked away from his second wife. Plan is coming together nicely. They think we're weak, and Gaara removed Danzo and his cronies so we don't have to worry about Root. Everyone else is running around like a chicken with their head cut off. He walked away whistling a jaunty tune. You know, if I liked Kakashi, I might feel guilty for what I did. But the way I grew up and for him hitting Nada is reason enough for me not giving a damn. Meanwhile in Training Ground 44, codenamed the Forest of Death, Kakashi Hatake was bound and gagged, stripped down to his mask and boxers, tied to a tree and covered with honey. Above him nailed to the tree with a kunai was a white signboard with big red letters. Free lunch. And a cartoon drawing of Naruto sticking his tongue out and pulling down his eyelid with his middle finger. If someone saw this they might laugh. Sadly the beasts of the forest can't read, but the smell of sweet fresh honey drew in several of the more hungry critters. Naruto entered the office of the Godime Hokage and paused. His wife for the last 10 years was sitting off to the side playing a handheld game, a very familiar handheld game while the Kazekage and Hokage were cleaning the office. Shizune was sitting next to Hinata, her wide eyes alternating between the cages and the former Hyuga heiress in disbelief. Naruto smiled when Nada looked up and grinned. Yelled at them, didn't you love? Quote. Nada shrugged. A bit. They were acting like spoiled children. Ruto looked at Gaara. My friend, you know better. The Kazekage of Suna, now in his early 20s sighed and sulked. She started it. Quote. Tsunade, despite her age, acted like all politicians. I did not. You started it, she said as she pointed at him. No, you did. If you shared my game, Gaara rebutted. Naruto sighed. Guys, just let me finish the level. It was getting interesting. Tsunade continued. Guys, if you want to play, get your own. Gaara muttered. Spend some of your booze money. Blasphemy. Tsunade said while Naruto tried again. Tsunade, Gaara. The two cages continued to bicker, and Naruto looked at his wife. Silence. Both leaders fell quiet. Thank you, dear. I don't know what I would do without you. Naruto said, kissing his wife's forehead. Get into tons of trouble and be miserable. Nada said as she went back to playing the game, the electronic sounds getting twitches from the silent cages. I leave you two alone to set plans in motion, and come back to this. Tell me you at least took out the council's listening devices and hid an Anbu. Tsunade pointed to the wall where a figure hung by his neck, the only thing keeping the body upright. Gaara's-san dropped a dozen listening devices on the ground, they'd been crushed. Good. Naruto walked up and traced a rune on the wall, a bright glow snapped into place. Now then, shall we really begin this time? Tsunade smiled as she walked up and hugged him. I missed you, brat. Messages by Toad aren't enough. Shizune sighed as she hugged Gaara. I nearly had a heart attack when you two started to fight. Why didn't you warn me? Nada answered from where she was multitasking, because we needed your reaction, to be honest. Her fingers were twitching as she played the game, her eyes narrowed. Everything in place? Tsunade asked. Almost. Hatake is busy petting the wildlife at Training Ground 44. Why? Tsunade asked. He hit Hinata. Naruto, the leader of Wave, said with a shrug. Naruto. Don't give me that tone, Ba-chan. He hit my wife. It took everything I learned in the last 10 years not to let Kyuubi out and wipe him from existence. He sighed. He heard me and Mari talking as well. Don't worry, he's safe. I have runes around him, and the critters of the forest won't touch him. Well, the bear cubs are licking, but that's it. Hinata coughed and he looked at her. Seeing her look, he sighed. He hit you. You can't leave him there. Naruto nodded. Of course not. Mary's going to have a few of the scorpions slip in and take him to the chakra cells under Suna until we're ready. He'll be let go once Ero Sanin finishes the Bloodline Destroyer seals. The two cages looked at the blonde. You have been busy, Gaki. How do you have time to run a tavern, a garden, Lead the people of Wave and spend time with your family, not to mention paperwork. Tsunade asked. Naruto snorted. Kage Bunshin Ba-chan. Besides most the paperwork you both deal with is the crap from the council. I let the people of Wave work it out in weekly sessions. What? Disputes and such are handled before the whole village at the weekly meeting. Of course a lot of times those are disguised as weekly dances. Hinata smiled as she handed the game to Shizune and stood up before her husband. You owe me a dance by the way. Naruto scrunched up his nose. Nope. I don't recall. Oh, Mari says she owes you 50 ryo. He added as an afterthought. Hinata blinked as she tried to remember what she and her co-wife had bet on, then her eyes widened and she squealed. As she hugged Naruto, he smiled as he hugged his wife. What? Tsunade asked. No one was paying attention as Shizune began to play the game. Temari's pregnant, Naruto said. Tsunade's eyes widened. Gaara's sand rose up with a hiss, but froze at Hinata's growl. You wouldn't be threatening mine and your sister's husband Lord Kazekage, would you? And no, Lady Hinata. The container to the one-tailed Shukaku said as the sand retreated. Good, because I would hate to ban you from my kitchens, and those pies you like. Gaara swallowed while Tsunade registered what she'd heard. Another baby to spoil. She smiled. Hurry up and get me the out of here. I have babies to spoil and sake to drink by a beautiful lake you promised me. Naruto nodded. Soon Ba-chan. Another month or two at the most. Itachi tells me the Akatsuki are nearly ready and their operatives are close to finding Sasuke and Orochimaru. Quote, I still can't believe that they share the same body and alternate control faster than a person can blink. Tsunade said. Well, Itachi-kun did force the transfer. Hinata said from where she was nestled against her husband. A growl drew their attention and they turned to see Shizune playing the handheld game and Gaara backing away as fire burned in the ice dance eyes. Booyah! The queen of games by Och. Shizune roared as she held it aloft. Hinata sighed. I think I know what we're getting everyone for Christmas. I think you're right, but I have what I want. You and Mari Haim and our children. Everything else is just cake. Tsunade looked at Gaara. A political marriage. She muttered. I'm still waiting on pictures of that by the way, not to mention more pictures of Jin. Soon Ba-chan. Right now Mari is ping around the story of Jin being killed by Kisame and our minds were wiped of it. Quote. Tsunade sighed. I hate deception. I hate lies. Naruto leaned into his wife and whispered, and that's one of the reasons she sucks at poker, she can't lie very well. I heard that Uzumaki. Naruto stuck his tongue out. Now, truthfully, do you want your father's name? Nah, I've been in Uzumaki for so long, changing it is pointless. Mom left me scrolls and such which Itachi and Ero Sanin gave to me. Quote. Gaara still watching Shizune play added his own thoughts, I can't believe he was a double agent. Triple really. Naruto admitted. He was my mom's student, she tasked him with my protection. It's why he killed his clan and told Oji-san covered it with him going undercover. He then worked for Akatsuki, and then became my spy. Headache is what I call it. Tsunade muttered. Ready for the next act? He asked. No. Tsunade said as she hugged the boy she considered her grandson or an annoying nephew, as Tsunade still wouldn't admit her age. Hinata was being squeezed as the blonde Hokage hadn't given her time to move, so the Uzumakis were getting a long overdue bone-crushing hug. Off to the side Gaara was watching Shizune play the game. Use the chair. Use the chair. Take that bitch. Dropkicked your. Gaara stepped back. XX. Tamari smiled as she looked from her position. She turned seeing Tazuna and Tsunami coming up with a yame of Ichiraku's ramen. Are you and your father ready? Yes, milady. And here are the files you requested. Ayame said ping a scroll over. No one would suspect a ramen waitress and her father of being spies. Tsunami said. Your brother asked that IP on a message milady. Ayame said. And where is my brother? Tamari asked. He's with my father and a few of the other loyalists. Kankuro wanted to double-check the rumor of the Hyuga wanting to kidnap Lady Hinata. Quote. Tamari growled. They'ing try and they better pray I get to them first. Naruto won't leave a pebble left. Thinking of what the Hyugas might do with her co-wife. Tamari would be the first to admit the political marriage 3 years ago had not been a happy event. The Suna Council demanded it to form stronger ties. And who better than the man who beat my brother? The four ponytail-wearing blonde thought. She liked Naruto well enough at the time, but to find out she was going to be wife number 2 had pissed her off. She understood that several council members were just now getting feeling back in some of their limbs after the beating she gave them. Nada. Sweet Nada is the one who opened my heart. Kami. She welcomed me into her home, into the bed. Tamari smiled as she looked up at the stars, remembering that night. The wedding night was, wow. But that night with the three of us. A cough dragged her from her memories. Sorry, she said, managing to contain her blush. We'll be heading to the wagon. Tazuna said. Kankuro wanted me to ask about the scorpions and avians. Ayame asked. Both were Suna and Wave's answer to Anbu and Root, but loyal to their leaders. They are in position to get our people out. Please tell me that my idiot of a brother finished his task before coming to Oogle U. Quote. Ayame blushed. He did. Well, that's something at least. Tamari muttered as she checked her watch. Come on. We need to go. Ayame, wait for the signal, and then the avian and scorpions will get you and your father out. Quote. The other girl sighed. I will miss our stand. Naruto's built you and your father a place. He was very adamant that you both be protected as you were some of his precious people. Ayame smiled sadly. Uruka misses him, and Yumino will be given a choice at the time. Naruto loves the man like an older brother, but he never acknowledged Naruto until it was nearly too damn late. Tamari shouldered her fan. Nada and I convinced him not to inform Yumino. Ayame nodded. Well, I better get back. We await the signal. Ayame hurried off. Come on. My husband better be getting Nada. I don't like how this village feels anymore. Quote. The bridge builder and his daughter agreed. Ready? No. A soft smile met a fox-like grin. The Uzumakis made their way down the street, ignoring the citizens of Konoha. Around them their Suna guard formed up. Gaara was behind them, his handheld game system Ched in his hands, his raccoon-marked eyes scanning for anyone trying to harm his friends or take his game from him again. Tamari was with Kankuro at the gates. Naruto was helping Hinata into the wagon when Tsunade, who had followed, asked, Naruto, have you seen Kakashi? Hitaki. Why would I see that bastard? Knowing him, he's hanging around somewhere reading that crap he calls a novel. Quote. Tamari snorted, then spoke up. I think I saw him entering that forest we had our Chunin exams in all those years ago. She said, shouldering her large fan. Naruto, are you sure you won't stay? Tsunade asked loudly. The blonde snorted. Hell no. Konoha's made its bed, now it's time to lay in it. He climbed into the wagon with his wife. The leaf can burn for all I care, Lady Hokage, I will not return here again. He looked at Tazuna, who motioned the horse onward, and the wagon rolled from the gates. Back at the gates, Shikamaru stood watching. He had a lot to think about and he decided to talk to Ino. Troublesome. He thought at what he'd been given by Tamari, the scroll she slipped him while she'd visited the bar, he'd read. I have a choice to make, and for Ino I will make the right one. He didn't consider speaking with his father, as the man had been one of those who had ordered Naruto's death. XX. When the Wave Suna group was miles away, Naruto turned towards Tamari, who hopped up into the wagon. Well? He asked. She handed him the scroll. Ayame says things are going smoothly. The scorpions and avians are in place, the root is under the watchful eye, and Gaara didn't get Danzo, he got a decoy. Quote. Damn. That old bastard has more lives than the Nibi. Naruto muttered. His thoughts were distracted as Hinata moved over and hugged Tamari. So happy to hear the good news, Mari. The female blonde flushed a bit as she still wasn't used to the public displays of affection from either Ruto or Na. Gaara, walking beside the wagon, coughed and all three turned to look at him, seeing him playing his handheld game system. Something to say, brother? Ruto said with a grin. Even though the marriage was political, he and Nada had welcomed Mary's brothers into the family wholly. Your loving wife owes me new batteries. Gaara intoned. While the people in the wagon laughed. Tsunami sighed. How can anyone believe you're the leaders of the hidden wave when you act like this? Ruto smiled. That Nei-chan is because by hiding the village like this we've become the best, and our alliance with Suna and Akatsuki gives us powerful allies to call upon. Nada smiled as she leaned against her co-wife. With us hidden like we are, It also gives Wave a certain amount of protection that an invader wouldn't know about until we slit their throats. With the situation in Suna itself, it also gives Gaara a place to come. The demon haters are starting to gather, and even though they believe Gaara lost Shukaku, they hate him for his power. Idiots. The Cage muttered while playing his game and walking. Tsunami sighed. I just don't think I'm cut out for this espionage game you're all playing. Father enjoys it almost as much as he enjoyed designing the academy and the village you built off the shore. Ruto, the leader of Wave, smiled. I will say that is one of my best runes ever. Only someone with the mark can see the village and the bridge. Mari said with a nod. And to think, you developed that idea visiting Suna. Ruto smirked. Hey, it wasn't me who got us lost in the desert. All eyes shifted to Konkuro. What? I got turned around. Mari sighed. Ignore my brother, people, he's an idiot. So, did everything go as planned? Tsunami asked. Mostly. We'll need to be careful now. Danzo knows where we are, but he thinks we think he's dead. Tsunade and Shizune are anxious. Nada said softly. Shikamaru's going to bring Ino, we'll need the mind healer. Mari said. She felt bad for Shikamaru, who would have to betray not only the Leaf Village, but his own family in the Exodus. Remind me when we get back home to put a bounty on the Thames head. Ruto muttered. It goes to show how bad things are in Konoha when a man can escape, kill a man, and have time to rape someone. He had to have used the Mangekyo Sharingan, but how the hell did he get it? What do you mean? Mari asked. When I brought that bastard back, he didn't have it, and the only known way to get it is to kill your best friend. His obsession with me was he considered me his best friend. That's. Tsunami looked sick. Yeah, so that means in the time since his imprisonment, Danzo sacrificed a root operative to get him it. Sonova. Naruto kicked the side of the wagon which creaked and groaned. Hey, don't abuse my wagon. Tazuna yelled. Stow it, you old drunk. Naruto muttered only to get smacked across the back of his head by his wives. He crossed his arms and muttered, no respect. Gaara walked along beside the wagon ignoring the byplay as his eyes were focused. Konkuro walking next to him stepped away when he heard, eat it, eat hot plasma you covenant bastards. It's just a game, Konkuro muttered, shuddering when several pairs of eyes landed on him promising his destruction. XX. Konoha. Where did you find him? Tsunade asked, keeping her expression neutral. Training ground 44. Enko said with a smirk. Tied to a tree. He swears Naruto did it to him, but we had the Gaki followed the whole time, so it's not possible. Dismissed. Tsunade looked at Hitaki, who was wrapped in a blanket and shivering, his left eye covered. Konoha is in danger, he began, but Shizune stepped up and injected him in the neck with a needle. Kakashi slumped to the ground. I'm surprised he kept his mouth shut till he got here. The Hokage's first apprentice muttered. Probably because he didn't know the Anbu with Anko. Tsunade said as Shizune dragged Kakashi to the couch. How long will it take to block his memories? Shizune pulled out a book of seals. I'll need an hour, milady. Jiraiya could do it in 20 minutes, but I don't have his skill. Tsunade nodded. I'll lock the door, I need to speak with what remains of the council. Shame that Danzo wasted a life decoy model, I hear that it takes months to bleed the required amount of blood for those. Quote. Shizune smirked. Funny how well Naruto's spies know the workings of Konoha better than our own ninja. Tsunade smirked. Sarutobi's notes state that no one should underestimate or try to harm Naruto. Well, the fossils tried to harm him, and he's going to pay them back in spades. Shizune looked at Kakashi a moment after her mentor left and got a needle out. Shame you'll never know Hitaki. Until it's too late. If you'd been on Naruto's side, this wouldn't be necessary. She said and got to work. XX. Shikamaru looked out over Konoha. Soon, all of Naruto's plans will come to a close. The leaf will learn its mistakes, and Wave shall rise. He took a drag on the cigarette. Sand and Wave, they will bury the diseased leaf in a tidal wave of our own making. The third Hokage said it, the will of fire. Konoha has lost that. We lost that the day the council allowed a traitor to live and tried to murder the Hokage's legacy. Quote. Shikamaru pulled out a bag of chips and placed them on the ground next to a shogi board, a white lily and a pack of cigarettes. Team 10 will be avenged, and Kurenai and your son Sensei will be safe. Naruto has a home set up for them, and for Ino-chan. He looked at the setting sun. Revenge is so troublesome, he muttered before sinking into the shadows, the items remaining where he'd placed them. XX. Anko smirked as she looked at the report. She burned it and knew that soon the leaf would fall. She sat down at Ikiraku's ramen stand and smiled at Ayame. Dango and bean soup. The serving girl nodded. They added to the menu after Naruto's exile, but the items on the menu were added for only certain people that were special to a certain blonde. Ayame smiled as she served the snake Jonin. Her own eyes looking off to the distance and knowing that soon the view would be changed. XX. Secret location. Damn that demon brat. Danzo roared as his operatives reported the loss of nearly all the civilian council. And you say Sai was executed by the case cage? Yes, Lord Danzo. Quote. Gather our troops, and all loyal. Get me a messenger. It's time Sasuke knows what's happening. The room cleared and Danzo stared at the map. We'll wipe out Suna, then move on Wave. Once Suna is gone, Wave will have no one to protect them, and we'll take the demon and use his body to study in. Make new weapons, more powerful than anyone can possibly imagine. Danzo's laughter filled the chamber, unaware of spies in the walls. Prepare for battle. The ninja fortress under Wave Village was a bustle of activity. All genin report to squad leaders. Academy students report to your CL rooms and your IGN ments will be handed out. Mary's voice rang over the speakers. The return from Konoha had been nice, but the messenger bird's arrival had put Ruto's mood in a very dark and broody place. Mari looked at Nada, who was with Jin. Itachi was dressed in his armor. The former Uchiha had become friend of the family and had sworn to protect Jin, no matter what. Mari looked at the board. The villagers have pulled back and are being shipped to New Wave. She said as Ruto entered the room. Gone was the bartender persona. Here was the leader of Wave, dressed in robes and battle armor that reminded Tamari of the time she'd seen the third Hokage during the Sans Sound invasion of Konoha. So Danzo's going to attack Suna? Well, we can't have that. Ruto muttered as he grabbed his hood and mask. Itachi, I leave you in charge here. Not a Haim, the hospital is yours. Naruto paused. Mari, send word to our people in Leaf, we'll swing by. Operation Ember is going ahead of schedule. Mari nodded. And where do you want me? She asked. After you send the message, I'm putting you in charge of the ninja, while Itachi's in charge of the village. Quote. Wah, but Suna is. You're pregnant and not allowed on active duty outside the village. Naruto reminded her and she pouted while looking at her still flat stomach. Unfair. He smiled at his second wife and gave her a kiss on the nose. No, it's not, but then again, who better than you to run our shinobi? He turned away, missing the smile. Inform our people that I want them to pull back as soon as they can and to take no chances. Milord. A ninja in blue and black wearing a wave headband. Evacuation is going as scheduled. Tazuna insists that he can drop a section of the Great Naruto Bridge, but he'll need a squad. Give it to the old drunk. Naruto said. 0. The ninja paused. Yes, milord. Have 9 and 10 sweep the village and make sure the civilians are safe. Already doing so, milord. The ninja said. The avian took off. Numbers instead of names. Mari said with a raised eyebrow. Naruto nodded. Their idea. I have them choices. He spun about, and took his son. You be good for Uncle Itachi. He said, and the little child giggled as his father held him. The Akatsuki are on standby. Itachi said. Good. Where are our Jinchuriki? He asked. Already on New Wave. The Nibi and Itachi. She has a name. Naruto said. Itachi sighed. Yugito-san is waiting on the other side with a squad of her Hellcats. Quote. Naruto had to admit, with the closer connections, the summons the Jinchuriki had were far more deadly than normal summons. I would prefer to be in battle at your side. Nada said, coming up with her husband's sword. I know, love, but you are the best medic we have until Ba-chan and the others get here. You are also the one the children will look to. The genin know your word is law. Nada smiled as she took Jin and held her son on her hip. Be safe. It's me. Naruto said with a grin, kissing her softly. He pulled back and she gave him a look. That's what I'm talking about. Little Jin Uzumaki giggled as his father made a face. XX. Suna. Gaara looked at the message and then looked at Suna. He'd barely gotten back and already everything was going to be a disaster. The council was plotting and it finally showed. What should we do, bro? Kankuro asked. The council has opted to join Danzo in ridding the world of people like me and Naruto. They have co-opted our ninja forces. Gaara said as he looked at his handheld game system. Gather the scorpions. Quote, what are you going to do? Pack. Gaara said. Kankuro stopped at the door. Pack the scrolls as well as your games, bro. And he was gone. Gaara sighed. In the words of that slacker, troublesome. Quote, XX. Konoha. Danzo and his forces slipped out the east gate. Shizune reported to the Hokage. Nothing we can do about that. She said, holding up a scroll. Operation Ember is underway. Ahead of schedule. Quote, Danzo and his forces have pushed it. Tsunade said as she looked at the storage scrolls. P the word, we leave at dawn. Shizune went to tell those that knew. Tsunade looked at the vault that was empty. She pulled the pictures of the 4 previous Hokages off the wall. I am sorry, but the leaf has become diseased. But the will of fire hasn't died, it will just become a tidal wave that will wash over the diseased and cleanse it anew. Quote, she pulled out a photo that Naruto and Hinata had given to her. It was of them and Jin the day he'd been born. She traced a finger over the images, feeling bad she'd missed so much over the years, but at the same time happy for the young couple. I am so proud of both of you. She whispered. And you little Jin, are going to spend a lot of time with your grandma. XX. Wave. The avians are ready, milord. A ninja reported. Naruto nodded. Let's go. He spread the wings of the glider and dove off the bridge. Over 200 ninja followed him as they took to the air, using the updrafts to climb higher. Hang on, Gaara, we're coming. Naruto thought to his brother-in-law. Behind them on the bridge, Nada watched until the avians rose to the clouds and were out of sight. She looked at Tazuna. Wait until the refugees arrive and blow it after they are safe. The old drunk bridge builder nodded. The 3 ninjas with him would do the job. Nada looked at the rest of the defenders. And now we wait. XX. Konoha. Shikamaru looked at his family home, a hint of sadness crept into his mind. His parents refused to leave. He turned and made his way to the memorial stone. He looked at the name. Well, this is it. He said after his fingers traced 2 names. I'm taking Ino to Naruto and Hinata. They have mind healers from across the sea. They believe that she can be mentally helped. He lowered his head. I don't know if you would agree with me about my decision, but I have to do this. For Ino I do this, and once she is safe, I am asking Naruto to allow me to be a hunter nin. I plan on going after the Uchiha, and it's not to bring him back. He was silent for a bit. Kurenai and your son will be going as well, sensei. It's no longer safe here in the leaf. I'm going to do the best I can for what's left of our team, and those precious to us. Quote, he touched Choji's name. Your folks are going as well. Your dad tired. I tried to talk my dad and Inos into it, but they refuse to leave, but they won't stop us. It's become so troublesome without you 2 here. He said. Cloud watching isn't like it should be. Shikamaru was silent for a bit longer. I will kill Sasuke Uchiha for what he did to you and Ino. He touched Asuma's name again. Naruto killed the bastards that killed you, sensei. It was part of his deal with the Akatsuki, Sai, who knew that they were honorable. He traced their names once more. This will be the last time I'm here to talk to you. I promise, I will make sure our Ino is cared for, and Kurenai and your son are set up. As troublesome as it's been, I can't do anything else but care for them, cause they keep me grounded and remind me of the good times of both of you. Shikamaru was silent again. He hated expressing his thoughts, but he made this journey once a week to speak to his friend and mentor. This is goodbye. He turned and walked away. He had some last-minute packing to do, and then he would meet Kurenai to get Ino. XX. As the sun rose over Konoha, explosions rocked the city. The Hokage Tower went up in flames. Several homes exploded, and a ramen stand exploded, taking out nearly the whole block. By the time Konoha realized it, nearly 70 people were gone. With them went the Hokage's library, the Forbidden Scroll, the entire vault of Ryo. The council would not recover from this, and the neon orange let ring across the Hokage monument said it all. Historians view. The battle for Suna went down as the last great ninja war. Suna rocked by civil war as the old guard fought with those loyal to Gaara, splitting the city down the middle. The arrival of the forces of Konoha led by Danzo and his route turned the tide, and for 3 days and 3 nights the loyalists were under siege, holding up in the Cage's tower. On the dawning of the 4th day the tide turned once more as death came from above as Naruto and the forces from Ne.W wave descended from above, granting death like angels as they dropped from their gliders. Gaara and those loyal to him poured out of the citadel and soon the traitors and the Konoha forces were in retreat. Chronicles are sketchy, but they all agree that Naruto, or as he preferred, Ruto, hugged his brother-in-law and told him they needed to get home. Gaara with those that wished it, left Sunagakure and journeyed to New Wave. Time Ped in the Isle of New Wave prospered, it soon was recognized by the Jade Emperor of the Elemental Nations as an independent kingdom, ruled by Ruto Uzumaki and his brides Nata and Mari who ruled as his queens by his side. Their children grew and an uprising from Konoha was squashed before it began by the guardian beasts of Wave which included the toads, the slugs, the raccoons and the foxes. Time moved on and while Wave faded into the mists of time, rumors of a blonde man and 2 wives moved on through the century. Sometimes they would be running inns, others they would run orphanages. But the description always matched that of a whisker-marked blonde man, blonde woman with a sarcastic wit and a pale-eyed beauty with a gentle demeanor. Where they ped, there was peace, love and happiness.